Have you ever wondered what you would do if every second felt like it could be your last? What if there was no one to hear your voice, no phone signal, no way out, and no hope, except the strength inside you? Today, I want to share the unbelievable true story of Aron Ralston, a man who faced one of the most impossible survival situations in modern history. This isn't just a story about surviving in the wilderness. It's a story about the incredible power of the human spirit, the value of life, and how one impossible decision changed everything forever. Aron Ralston loved adventure more than anything. Growing up in America, he was fascinated by nature, mountains, and exploring places that most people never dared to visit. While many people spent their weekends relaxing at home, Aron was climbing cliffs, hiking through remote canyons, and pushing himself beyond every limit. To him, freedom wasn't found in cities or crowded places. Freedom was standing alone on top of a mountain with nothing but endless skies around him. By 2003, Aron had become an experienced climber. He knew the risks of exploring dangerous terrain, but he also trusted his skills. On April 26, 2003, he decided to take another solo trip into Utah's Blue John Canyon. It seemed like a perfect day. The sun was shining, the air was clear, and Aron felt completely alive. But there was one mistake that would almost cost him everything. He didn't tell anyone exactly where he was going. As he hiked through the narrow canyon, everything felt normal. He climbed over rocks and squeezed through tight passages, enjoying every moment. Then, in just a few terrifying seconds, his entire life changed. While climbing down a narrow slot canyon, a giant boulder suddenly shifted beneath his feet. The rock crashed downward, pinning his right arm tightly against the canyon wall. The pain was unimaginable. Aron pulled with every ounce of strength he had, but the rock wouldn't move. It weighed hundreds of pounds. No matter how hard he tried, his arm was trapped. At first, he stayed calm. He believed someone would eventually find him. He tried lifting the boulder. He pushed against it with his legs. He used every climbing technique he knew. Nothing worked. As the hours passed, the reality became terrifying. Nobody knew where he was. No one was coming. The hot desert sun burned during the day, while freezing temperatures arrived at night. Aron had only a small amount of food and less than a liter of water. Every sip became precious. To keep himself from giving up, he began talking to himself. He laughed. He cried. He prayed. Sometimes he shouted into the empty canyon, hoping someone might hear him. Only silence answered. Time moved painfully slowly. One day passed. Then two. Then three. His body became weaker with every hour. Dehydration drained his strength, and exhaustion took over. Still, he refused to quit. He carried a small video camera and began recording goodbye messages for his family and friends. Looking into the camera, he thanked the people he loved. He apologized for mistakes he had made. He told them how much they meant to him. Watching those recordings today is heartbreaking because Aron truly believed they would become his final words. He even carved his name and what he thought would be his date of death into the canyon wall. Imagine reaching the point where you've accepted that your life is about to end. Most people would have given up. But something inside Aron refused to let go. During one exhausting night, he had a powerful dream. In it, he saw himself alive. He imagined holding the hand of a small child, a son he didn't even have yet. When he woke up, that vision stayed with him. Instead of seeing death, he suddenly saw a future worth fighting for. That's when everything changed. Aron realized there was only one possible escape. It was horrifying. It sounded impossible, but it was his only chance. His trapped arm had already lost circulation after nearly 5 days. Using a small, dull multi-tool, Aron first broke the bones in his own forearm. Then, with incredible determination, he amputated his trapped arm. The pain is almost impossible to imagine. But his desire to live was stronger than his fear. After finally freeing himself, his nightmare wasn't over. He still had to climb out of the canyon by himself. With only one arm, weak from dehydration and severe blood loss, Aron climbed a steep rock wall, then hiked several miles through the desert searching for help. Every step required extraordinary courage. Eventually, he encountered a family of hikers. Shocked by his condition, they immediately gave him water and alerted rescue teams. After nearly 127 hours trapped alone, Aron Ralston was finally safe. Doctors couldn't believe he had survived. His family couldn't believe they were seeing him alive. The entire world was stunned by his story. Many people assumed Aron would never climb again. They were wrong. Instead of allowing tragedy to define him, he chose gratitude. He returned to climbing, hiking, and living life with even greater passion than before. He learned how to adapt with one arm and proved that losing part of his body would never mean losing his dreams. Years later, something extraordinary happened. The vision that had kept him alive came true. Aron became a father. The child he had imagined while trapped inside that canyon was now real. For Aron, that moment confirmed something he had always believed, that sometimes hope appears before reality does. His incredible journey inspired millions around the world and became the award-winning film 127 Hours, showing people that the human spirit is capable of surviving even the darkest moments. Whenever life feels impossible, I think about Aron Ralston. I think about a man who spent nearly 5 days completely alone, trapped beneath an enormous boulder with no guarantee anyone would ever find him. I think about the impossible choice he made, not because he wanted to, but because he refused to let his story end there. His journey reminds us that courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to keep moving forward when fear surrounds you from every direction. No matter how trapped you feel today, whether by failure, loss, fear, or circumstances, remember this. As long as you're still breathing, your story isn't over. Sometimes the hardest decisions become the very reason we discover how strong we truly are. Aron Ralston didn't just survive a canyon. He discovered the unstoppable power of hope, determination, and the human heart. And maybe that's why his story continues to inspire millions of people across the world. Because it reminds all of us that even in our darkest hour, there is always one more reason to keep fighting.